The bottom line is we can't even afford to live here. Yo, I don't know why the people haven't woken up to this. Yo, because for the last 10 years, yo, I've been seeing it myself. The average person in North make up like 30 or less. If the rent is $13, $14, $15, $2,500 a month, how are you affording to live? So you're working all day from sun up to sundown. You're coming home into these impoverished neighborhoods with the worst school, worst everything. And it's not you. It is nothing that you're doing. When you go vote for these politicians, they write laws to make my reality of not being able to afford a home in North real. This is not me making this up and I'm just saying it, being hyperbolic. This is scientific data. The report noted, but it warned of potential harmful consequences like fucking riots. The consequences say if you keep throwing people out their house, people gonna burn this shit down.
Let's embark on the Ark Republic to hear current news that's published. More than gossip and chatter, covering current affairs that matter. We talk issues with professional views, all keeping you in queue. We wanted a higher vibe for these days and times to free the voices and minds, reporting the sign of the times so all can build. Let's shine, yeah.
We are here talking with Brother Afrika, who is an activist, a sociologist, and historian out of Newark, New Jersey. He also has a podcast, All Power to the People podcast. And so we speak all things Newark with Brother Afrika and other things, but there was a very, very important study that was released, I think early May, and it is titled, Who Owns Newark? And it came out of the Center of Law, Inequality, and Metropolitan Equity out of the Rutgers Law School. The acronym is CLiME, Rutgers CLiME. And in it, it provided some very disturbing information about the buying of single family homes, 1 to 4 unit homes in Newark, New Jersey. Some of the things it said from 2017 to 2020, according to its report, 47% of all purchases were from 3 corporations and 1 anonymous buyer. 47% of do you understand this, y'all? Of the homes, single family homes bought in Newark, New Jersey were through 4 corporate entities, which has been part and parcel of obliterating the little bit of, I don't know if we want to call it middle class, lower middle class that was left because, and also Newark is a predominantly Black city, but it has a significant Latino population, but all of the purchases that they're talking about happened in Black neighborhoods. So it's very tactical. It's absolutely intentional. There are a couple of other things. The South Ward and the West Ward were the 2 main wards that these purchases were taking place, and 1 district in the Central Ward. As well, there is a parallel between these purchases and the increase of rents that have been going on, which have displaced a lot of people. I am one of them. I could not move back to Newark because it was too expensive. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm illy in Philly right now, and a lot of other issues. This is a very personal, it's personal, but it's also something that I have been looking at since 2000, I want to say 2009, because it was part of my research. It wasn't actually part of my research. Afrika knows, I was talking about Nollywood movies. And I was doing this ethnography on Nollywood movies in Newark, and it became everything other but Nollywood movies. And then I uncovered this system of exploitation and also this grave poverty in Newark, which crippled majority of Newarkers. And so what I saw on C-SPAN when Cory Booker was talking, it was a total farce. You know, to be totally honest. Let's talk about this report and let's talk about the realities of Newark. It's on you.
See, like when we activists on the streets, the people that's out here on the streets every day that don't have no platform, when we out here speaking, saying we can't afford that live in these communities. People look at us and just think we're just exaggerating. Like we're fighting for attention. We're trying to get attention for ourselves. It's selfish. We just want to be heard. They call us all kinds of names, but this is a study. I don't control Rutgers. I don't own Rutgers, whatever they do at Rutgers University. Like, I don't even trust them as well. But when they come out with a study like this and they're telling you like something is going on here and you need to check this. It's problematic. I got to read this. I want to read this right here. Like, I don't like reading, but I got to read it because when I read it, it blew my mind. I don't like reading to people. Between 2017 and 2020, 2,500 homes, more than 47% of the city's 1 to 4 unit buildings were sold to institutional buyers. In Newark, many of the properties were bought by completely anonymous investors, prompting the title of CLiME's report, Who Owns Newark? Transferring wealth from Newark homeowners to corporate buyers. Corporate buyers often purchase large batches of single-family homes in one neighborhood and lease them, paying investors the money they collected from rents. The practice is part of a nationwide trend that began when limited liability companies, often backed by large-scale equity investment, became active in residential real estate after the foreclosure crisis in 2010, which especially impacted communities of color. Bookmark, who was president in 2010? When they were able to pass.
President of the United States, Obama.
Barack Obama, when they were able to do and laws were passed to give these companies the ability to come into our communities to exploit us. It said it here. Africa didn't say this. This is Rutgers University saying Obama in his administration, they passed the laws that 12 years later have 47% of our homes in a 3-year span go to corporations.
And so as you're reading this, one, now Newark is called a corporate town. That's what Newark is called, a corporate town.
Corporate town.
Now, along the way, because I've been there. I was there. Was I there? Yeah. Because I moved to Newark in 2007. So
when did we meet?
Oh, it was
08?
around 2010. It was like around 20. It was around 2010 because my husband's shop was already up and I got so it was like 2011.
Yeah.
No, strike. No, we met before my husband's shop. So we met like 2009. When were you at Essex County College?
I don't know. I thought like 2009. 09.
Yeah. 09, 010. Yeah. It was around 09, 2010.
And that's when everybody was losing their homes. People were getting homeless. They were doing the depression. Obama had just came in.
The housing crisis.
So when he came in, he bailed out all the banks, bailed everybody out, and he allowed all these people to go into the streets. Now the people that
right, and also not only that, but also during this time there was a huge as people lost their homes, and they basically are they have no money. The credit card industry, and then people were living off of their credit cards, and the credit cards were defaulting. Then you had all these law firms now representing these credit card companies coming after these people, garnishing their wages, snatching their bank accounts. How do I know? It happened to me.
It happened to me too. I still can't file no taxes. They take my tax money.
Wow.
They take my tax money. Like, so if I go file for taxes, I'm not getting a dime of that. So I don't even fucking file. Like, y'all just keep the shit. Like, I don't give a fuck what's going on. Because if I file, they're taking it anyway. So like, I don't even give a shit. But it springs from decades old government policies like exclusionary zoning that have barred Black Americans from home ownership, left them vulnerable to exploitation, according to the report. Sadly, I'm almost done, y'all. Sadly, this reality continues a long pattern of economic threat to predominantly Black and increasingly Latino neighborhoods in a state whose communities are among the worst segregated in the country. Segregation. The report states, from racial exclusion to predatory lending, from foreclosure to extraction of rents, Newark experience demonstrate what can happen when local economies ignore equity. CLiME found no illegal conduct in its NORC analysis. Real estate investing is constitutionally protected activity, the report noted, but it warned of potential harmful consequences like fucking riots. The consequences, if you keep throwing people out their house, people gonna burn this shit down. Yo, they're telling you they're pushing people.
You just bounced up.
Yo, because I'm tired. I don't know why. Yo, I don't know why the people haven't woken up to this. Yo, because for the last 10 years, yo, I've been seeing it myself. Like, yo, if you make the average person in North make up like 30 or less, 30,000 or less.
Yeah, about 30, at most 32.
If the rent is $13, $14, $15, $2,500 a month, how are you affording to live?
I wish rent was 13, 14 a month.
15.
Or 15. I'm seeing 2 stacks. I'm seeing 2,100, 2,200,
Yes.
2,300.
But when I'm talking about like studios, I'm talking about stuff like you live in people's basements.
Right.
In rundown places, you can find something for like 11,
roach infested.
So you're working all day from sun up to sundown. You're coming home into this impoverished neighborhoods with the worst school, worst everything. And it's not you. It is nothing that you're doing because you're busting your behind. These jobs won't pay. These politicians won't write laws to make these jobs pay enough for people to live. They write laws. When you go vote for these politicians, they write laws to make my reality of not being able to afford a home in North real. That is their job. They're not going in there to help any of us. And when I'm screaming at council meetings, school board meetings, I'm screaming to political officials. It's like, sometimes I feel like, how come nobody else sees this? Because how can you be making 32 or less and your rent is 2 something? You're spending half of your paycheck on rent. So now you're like, how much you spending on food?
Half. You're spending more. That's about 80% of your paycheck.
No, this is
that or more, or the whole thing. How about that?
This is crazy. So you a slave by a different name, and you don't see it. You're not mad enough. But it's like, I can't even blame people because I know when I come home after work, I'm too tired to worry about anything else. All I do is take a shower, eat, and get into bed and get ready for the next day. So it's like, I understand because like these jobs, remember, what job do the people in North have?
That's the other part I wanted to talk about, right? So check this out though. Remember, we're talking about lived experiences now. When this is all popping up, Cory Booker is the mayor, right? And so all of this revitalization of it starts with Sharp James, but it ratchets up with Cory Booker. And so you have Samsung come in, then you have the Prudential Center.
Panasonic, whatever happened to them? I don't even know they're still here.
Who?
Panasonic. I could have sworn they said something about Panasonic.
Panasonic, yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe sorry. Strike. It's not Samsung. Panasonic. Sorry, got the wrong thing. You have Panasonic. You have Audible, which is Amazon. You have the Prudential Center that's been here that then constructs takes the, I forgot the name of the building, but knocks it down and rebuilds stuff. And in all of these, and then you have all these different housing projects that are beginning to pop up. Let me let people know, Cory Booker, I've said this a million times, had the opportunity to enact eminent domain because a lot of these buildings around in the commercial districts and Newark had been owned for well over 50 years by the same owners. But as a result of the 1967 riots, white people fled the city in terms of living, maintained ownership of a lot of the commercial real estate, but refused to sell. The idea was this Newark would rot before they would give it to the Negroes. Yeah. And that is not, what do you call this, myth? It is absolute fact. I studied it. I even talked to some white people that were like, yep, yeah, I had a family member, my father did that, blah, blah, blah. So what happens is that during the Booker administration, you have the start of these investment firms, right, that are buying I forgot how many buildings were bought in this deal. It was only $118 million, but it was like a whole city block, which is now Teachers Village, which now we know as Teachers Village in Newark. But pennies on the dollar, prime real estate was being sold. Just make a long story short. And there was this promise that the people in Newark, this is back to your point, were going to get jobs. Like they were going to be promised jobs. One, where are these jobs? Are these the people we're talking about that are picking up the trash in the Newark, what do you call this? The Newark downtown district with the black and yellow, the yellow and black thing? Yeah. I don't know. Are these the meter maids who were former strippers we talking about? I don't know. Is this the
Hey, no, you gotta cut that out. You can't say that.
Why not? It's true.
The scrippers gonna be mad at you. You can't talk about the scrippers. Hey, sex workers. Okay,
oh, I'm sorry. Sex workers need love too. No, I'm gonna tell you, they are the best parking people in Newark. They had compassion for a sister. Thank y'all. I love y'all, and I know some of y'all, but and apparently some other people know you too. But that I deviated. But I'm saying, like, who did Panasonic and then the M&M? You remember M&M comes? That's the candy people. Who got these jobs? And furthermore, if we understand kind of like the breakdown of Newarkers is a lot of people need training. A lot of people need education. So even if they theoretically walked into Audible and said, I would like a management job, they don't even have the skills in order to do it. So hence this leads them, if they're working in these places, to what we would call menial labor without the ability, to be upwardly mobile in it.
No unions, none of that. I mean, the workplace is not democratic at all. Hey, look, when we talk about sociology, studying how societies function, how they're maintained, this is a science. I mean, you have to use qualitative and methods to understand what you're seeing, because like you can't measure this. It ain't like 1 + 1 is 2. You got to be like, these studies cost money. This, not only did Rutgers come out with that, they came out with another one. They came out with 2 back to back. This is the last one I'm gonna read, y'all, and I don't like reading either. You don't want me to read it?
No, keep going. No, this is so important.
This is the last one. This is from Rutgers. It's called Homes Beyond Reach. This is a quantitative analysis of housing need in one of the nation's poorest cities at a time of desperate need. They're talking about Newark, New Jersey. Before the coronavirus pandemic killed over 2,300 Newarkers and increased unemployment from 7% to 17%. You see, I don't believe that shit. I think it's like 30, 40. You see, but like, that's why I say I don't trust Rutgers. They're not going to give you like the hard data numbers. But anyway, this is 7 to 17%.
But also it depends on the database they're pulling from. See, that's exactly the thing. That's what it is.
They don't count people in jail. They don't count people that's not looking for unemployment no more. There's a lot of stuff that they don't add on. That's why I said, to me, it's probably like a 30-something, 40%.
Oh yeah, you're correct. No, I mean, these are the people that say I forgot the term, but I'm just going to say tapped out of the labor market, or
Advocates for affordable housing and adequate growth were concerned with displacement, gentrification, eviction, and homelessness. Now those concerns are even more acute. The Census Bureau reports that New Jersey leads the nation in the percentage of households currently behind in their rent, 23%. Newark, no doubt, is much worse. It is a city of low-income renters. In fact, half of the city renters, roughly 40,000 households or 104,000 people, have income of 30,000 or less. Housing advocates refer to these renters nationally as extremely low income. Hey, if you're making 30,000, stop fucking saying you're middle class. If you're making 50, 60, stop saying you're fucking middle class.
Yeah, that's not middle class.
You working poor. You a slave, you on the plantation, you picking cotton all day, and you going home to now they make you buy your own home. You don't live on the plantation no more. They make you use that cotton money to go buy your own home. You a slave. So like,
100,000 is not even middle class.
So when you 30, 40, 50, you talking about you middle class, I'll be wanting to slap you. But let me keep going. Now, those concerns are even more. No, I'm not there. Housing. One half of the entire population pays more than it can afford on housing costs. Let me read that again. One half, the entire population in North New Jersey pays more than it can afford on housing costs. CLiME's analysis finds a severe gap in units that are affordable to these 40,000 households. We estimate the city would need to produce roughly 16,000 additional units that rent for less than $750 per month to meet this tremendous needs. Yo, we just talked about rent being like 20-some hundred for rent. They said this shit got to be $750. Cities across the country face affordability crisis. Few compared to North. A few of them. So this is probably like 2 or 3 that compared to the hell we catching. This analysis of numbers offers 2 facts about methodology that speak to the reality of people's lives, rent burden, and local determination. First, we define affordability, and then it goes on to speak about affordability. And what's the bottom line is we can't even afford to live here. This is not me making this up, and I'm just saying it, being hyperbolic. This is scientific data that's even not 100% accurate, but it's just giving you a glimpse. And they told you the residents of North, the taxpayers, the people that's been here for generations, that are still here after the 2010 collapse, 2008, after the housing collapse. Those people cannot afford to live here. So who are the politicians working for? If you go down, I read the whole thing. When you go down and read it, they tell you the politicians are culpable. The politicians in North have not done enough to protect the people in their homes, and like they haven't passed the laws that they needed to pass. It tells you that in there. This is not this is not inflammatory remarks that I'm making. I'm lying. I'm casting dispersions. This is scientific data. And to me, as a sociologist, as somebody that sees this, because when I open my door and I walk out the house, I see it. I see it with my eyes. I see the abandoned houses. I see the people that don't live in the community that own these properties. I see people getting dragged out their homes. I have videos of me helping people get back into the apartment after these investors come in and buy these buildings with tax abatements from our tax dollars. The government give them our tax dollars to buy these buildings. Then they kick the people out illegally to get people that can pay $2,500 of what you call it a month.
Yeah, and so let me and to add to what's going on here, to Ras Baraka's credit, he has launched, I would say, about 7 or 5 to 7 affordable housing initiatives. To his credit, when
did he launch them?
In his duration, so, different. Listen.
Hey, go ahead.
The first one that I can recall, it was the sweetheart deal. Remember on February 14th, there were 100 homes that they were giving away, but you had to do that. Then there was he was part of these things that were supposed to be designed in order to provide affordable housing. Then you remember there's this city law where if you come in, you're a developer and you come into Newark and you have housing, 20% of the housing should be earmarked for affordable housing. However, what a lot of people didn't know, that in the fine print, if you did not want to do it, you just had to pay a fine and keep it pushing.
Gotcha.
Right. But then there's a recent housing initiative, and in response to this report that came out, the Baraka administration said that they are, hosting a proposal. Now, Ark Republic has reached out to the city of Newark and the Baraka administration to provide us the details of the plans, because there was a press conference. It was like the press conference was announced 3 minutes after the report was released. Couldn't make it. And just like most, damn near all of the requests in 2020, 2021, and 2022, crickets. We do not get a response. I'm sorry, maybe we got a response for a picture. So, but to his credit, there are. But there is an inconsistency with these housing initiatives that are being launched and this report that's coming out. Another thing is that all of these things are for apartments. So, oh no, there was one home ownership program and they did provide a home for one person, right? So that's it. And I'm gonna tell you, because I'm talking to people and they're like, there are all these affordable housing programs, but where are the results? Who's assessing them? And do they really work? Because on my end, as just a regular, it's not working for me. So, I mean, I just have to add that. In addition, go ahead.
Let me tell you all this for a second. Hey, I worked on the Baraka campaign. You see, I'm an activist. I work with kids in the community. So I try to give the kids all the knowledge that they need to be able to survive in this world. I work with kids from 5 years, from the 5th grade all the way up to high school and college. And I took some kids and we went and worked on the Baraka campaign a few years ago. So like when I'm here speaking, it's not that I'm saying here like, I don't know Ras Baraka, I hate Ras Baraka, I have issues. Man, ain't none of that shit. I let the data tell me what to think. Hey, yo, you said he had initiative going on. This is what the data say. Between 2017, 2020, all these homes belong to other people, corporations, other than the people that live here. So I don't care about the rhetoric. I don't care about what you're telling me. I don't care what you're saying. I know right now, as I'm sitting here, I cannot afford to live in this city. And it shouldn't be so if when you become mayor, I become mayor. Now, because now I'm about to get kicked out to go somewhere else. Yo, it might be cheaper to live in the suburbs. Yo, I'm telling you, it might actually be cheaper for me to go find somewhere to live in the suburbs than live here.
Well, this explains something. Let me say this real quick and I'm gonna let you say. During the pandemic, what you saw was, because the housing in New Jersey, period, across the board is ridiculous. It shot up because people from New York moved to Jersey. People from Jersey moved to Philly, right? And people from New York moved to Philly. So you're seeing this migration out of these highly expensive places, which also kicks up. So these housing, these new houses and all this stuff is actually catering to these New York commuters, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry, I just had to add that. No. Go ahead.
But that's what it said in the first one I read in 2010 when they made laws to make this shit so. I mean, that's why the shit is called systematic oppression. Like when you say white supremacy, like these are the people that are controlling this. These are the people that are passing laws in Congress, because it ain't me and you. It is this white people and the black people that are white people too, the blackface, whatever you want to call them. They are passing these laws to oppress people that I know, that I see on a daily basis. None of this stuff is organic. So when I read this stuff, I don't care what rhetoric anybody telling me. I know what's going on. And according to what's going on, you're selling the community to corporations. And our people are being driven into prisons, the streets, or they're being killed. That is what's going on in the community. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. But just let's break it down. Newark is a predominantly Black city.
Yes.
It's
not no more. Not no more. It's almost 50-50 now.
It's almost 50-50. Well, see, this is the thing. But so this is what I was just talking about, race. People who say they're Latino be darker than you and I. Right. And so like that's a fudge. Like Latino is an ethnicity. It is not a racial category. So you have a lot of people that look like y'all could be. My mama from Louisiana. We have the gamut. We have blue, black to light bright. Yeah. And I would say about 70% of the Latinos rolling around in Newark can fit up in that category. But right. But I get what you're saying. But I was going to say it's a predominantly Black city, significantly Latino population, almost 50-50. Council people are Black and brown. You know what I'm saying? Congress people is Black, Payne, Booker, Black,
Rice. Rice. I forgot his first name, but Rice. Like there's somebody out there named Rice. Rice.
Ronald Rice. But what's his name?
I don't know. Something Rice. He ain't doing shit.
He's a state. That's a state. He's a state. You're talking about the state representative.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So but you're true. The state senators and House. I mean, these are all they look like us, right? Yes. So I'm very I'm very acute in making sure that, because sometimes when you say white people, it doesn't hold the people who are actually the tools willingly of a system accountable as well, right? So I mean, I have to be clear. I got it, because some of my
I need to be clear. You see, like, look, man, let me tell you something. All I do is read. I read, because like I need data. And when I read books from 60s, 70s, from the 1700s. And and they're saying white. So when I open my mouth, it comes out white, because that's what I'm reading. But our system is more, I don't want to call it complicated. It is not complicated. It is a class system. We have a class system here. If you're part of this class, you can participate and you can be part of this exploitation. So it's like, it's not just white, it's the oligarchs, the people that control the government, that control the schools, that control everything that we do are the oligarchs. Like the dark-skinned people that they hire, the black people that look like us, like those are their allies, those are white supremacists, sympathizers, whatever you want to call them. But those people are not working for us. They're working for the oligarchs. The same oligarchs that were the slave masters during the plantations. And back then they just called them white. They didn't go through oligarchs or they didn't have all these names for them. They were just white people. So like, yo, you know what? If you're white out there, I'm not coming for you. Because you ain't got no power either. You part of the system, you may get crumbs here and there, but look, you're not making no decision. I think it was you I was speaking to yesterday. And I said, if I was a white man, I'm a white man, Africa, I'm white. So you could call me Europe. And like you asked me, like, you like, hey, Europe, what you gonna, Europe? Yeah, you're like, Europe, what you gonna do to solve what's going on? White men have been doing this. There is nothing I can do as a white man to change anything. The oligarchs are the ones that are in power, and they put people in position of power to exploit us, to write laws and legalize our suffering. In that first article I read, at the bottom of it, it said nothing that they have done is illegal. No shit, motherfucker, because in 2010 you wrote the laws to make the shit legal. So now in 2022, when they done stole all our houses, you're gonna look at me, Ruckus. You see why I say I don't fuck with them? You're gonna look at me and say, yo, none of this shit they did is illegal. It's just like slavery. That's
right. Yeah, and that's something exactly. Slavery was legal. Jim Crow was legal.
You wrote laws to legalize the shit. The black codes, you did all this in the new Jim Crow. You legalized our oppression and you use the politicians to do so. And that's how this system works. There is no democracy. Yo, every single time I watch the news or watch the president, anybody talk about, yo, we have to save our democracy. What fucking democracy? What democracy you talking about? There's no democracy here. There's none over there. There's democracy nowhere. All we see is capitalism ruled by oligarchs. That's it. There's no nothing. You could say it's a republic where the rich control everything. That it's a republic, but none of this shit got anything to do with democracy. And these are the laws they constantly tell people for people to believe when you go in there, you go pull that lever, you go vote, you're making a choice. First of all, it's decided by money. If you don't have enough money, you can forget about it, Jack. You ain't winning nothing.
That's exactly what Nina Turner said. Because she lost.
Look at you, and like, yo, I don't even want to talk about Nina, but she be making me mad. First, she got a cop as her husband. Then she's still begging the Democratic Party to let her in. So you could go be part of them and exploit me and oppress me. Why are you begging them to let you into their institutions? What is wrong with you? They turned their back on you. Like none of them.
Oh, yes, they did. Well, which was very evident in this last election, which was very evident. So it'd be interesting to see where she rolls. Let me say this too. I donated to the Baraka campaign in 20 was it when he was running against Shavar Jeffries.
Yeah.
I actually donated to Shavar Jeffries because at the time my husband had a barbershop. Shavar Jeffries was a client and he just seemed like a cool dude. So I was like, go ahead, do you. And then, some BS happened or whatever. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'll go give money to Baraka. And I remember very clearly, anyway, let me get to what it is. It's a whole bunch of stuff in between. After he won, I got an invitation and the invitation was something like, come to the inauguration. It's like $200 a plate, and put the money in. And I wrote something on there and I sent it back. And I remember telling patients, and patient was like, girl, don't do that. You know, they're going to come for you.
Yeah.
Which is a part I must say publicly. It is known in Newark that there are goons who do the bidding of those in power when you publicly do not agree. And so, like I said,
you can't work in the city.
You cannot work in the city.
Work in the city. There's no institution
Correct.
that you can go to
Correct.
that will hire you. From the education to the city hall, all these people are together. They work together like a cabal. And if you're not part of this circle, you're not getting in. And if you wrote on that note, whatever you wrote on the back of it, if it wasn't, you're the greatest mayor, we are all mayors of Newark now, you can forget about it, Jack.
I think I wrote something like shame on you. You know what I'm saying? I wrote something like shame on you.
You ain't living in Newark no more.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Well, you know what? I never worked. My husband had a barbershop in Newark, and there was something that happened. I can't remember what happened. And I wanted to really get more so into, I want to be one of them people at town hall that's going off like a Donna Jackson. And so, you know, my husband said, look, it's a lot of politics in this town. I just started my business. You know, it's something we cannot really do right now. And I was like, you know what? I respect it, because we spent all of our wedding money in building that barbershop because we wanted to give Newarkers an oasis, you know, in a town where but like, this is a blighted city, totally forgotten and ignored. And so then we started seeing all these developers slowly but surely coming like little ants, you know, building up stuff. So, you know, I respected it, and I did totally agree. But the order of the day is, even if people don't like Baraka, they will publicly profess him to be almost like an emperor-like mayor, for fear. This is the fear factor I'm talking about, not to be, for whatever it is that they're doing, to be hindered. That is a problem. It's a problem.
It is a problem. It's like access and career list, whatever they call themselves. Like, they want their careers and they want access. If you don't have access, you can forget about your career. It's like a circular thing. You have to get down, or what is it? Get down or get put down or some shit. How does that shit? I don't remember how that shit go. But you got to get down, or you got to get put down. And if you're not part of that circle, it's almost impossible to do anything out here. But this is the reality that we're facing. And when these studies come out, yo, please, I implore you, go read it for yourself. So you don't say Africa saying this, saying that. Yo, read what these people are saying. Yo, what I read is just a little snippet that I got. This is 100 and something pages. One of them is 100. The other one is 65 pages of them telling you how these people are exploiting the taxpayers in this community, the Black taxpayers that went out and voted for these politicians to change the community. And
even in the South Ward, which is Baraka's, what do we call it? It's where the center of the hub of his voting power, his voting block, is gutted. The South Ward is gutted. That was probably like the last kind of bastion of concentration of a Black middle, some semblance of a Black middle class. Well, not anymore.
Don't cut this out too. Hey, Patience, come here. I want Patience. Hey, what percent of people voted in the elections?
Oh, I can tell you that.
What was it?
7 point something percent.
7 point something percent. Now these are not, yo. Now she said 7 point something percent of people voted. But listen to this. Listen for a second. 7 point something of eligible voters voted. The majority of Newarkers don't even vote. They don't even register. So like, let's say if it's 40% of Newarkers that are registered to vote, only 7% of those registered people vote. Yo, think about that shit.
Yeah, I mean, and to just give you the raw numbers, I think it's like something like 130,000, 150,000, something like that. 150,000 registered voters, and only something like 13,000 voted.
Because they understand voting ain't doing shit for them. And also, if you don't have any place to live and you're trying to, it's the last thing on the list. Because it doesn't work. And we circle back around. What do these activists? Yo, I want y'all to listen. Everybody that's sitting out there, whenever you're listening to a politician or entertainer, anybody telling you like they're helping our community, listen to how they say they're going to do it. How they're going to do it is at the end of the day is by getting you to go vote for these politicians that write laws to criminalize us and steal away our property. That is their only solution. And once they give that solution, people tune them off. People start listening to them. So it's a small segment of the population that even participate in that voting farce. The majority of the people know it's a farce. They're not, what they're doing is not malfeasance. It is misfeasance. They know what they're doing is not going to work and they continue to do it. It's not like they don't know. They're making mistakes. All these politicians, all these Tamika Mallory, Sean King, Al Sharpton, all these people understand what they're doing. That's why I can't call them activists. You're not me. I am proud to be called an activist. It's not about a paycheck. It's not about money. That's not where I look for my masculinity. My masculinity comes from my integrity and my ability to study, to learn stuff, my brains. That is where I find my masculinity at. So like, when I say I'm an activist, I am proud to be one. Do not call Tamika Mallory an activist, because like all the work that I'm doing, all the sacrifices we make about not being able to get a job, because I had 3 degrees. My wife has, 3 degrees? 2? She has 2 degrees. She has an accounting degrees. We live in the heart of the projects of the hood because we try to build our institutions here for the people that need it the most. So when you call it Tamika Mallory, Puffy brings her out and tells the world this woman has been working for social justice. It's a smack in my face. It's a smack that all of us out here that risk our life fighting the police and all these people to change the condition of our people. I mean, I despise them. It's not that like we can talk to them and they can change their mind and they can listen to reasons. These people are on the other side. Their philosophy is opposite of what we believe in. They believe they need to sell our property, sell our communities to rich white. Yeah, there I go again, rich white.
That's all good. Technically, that is
they are
representation. Right. That is the representation.
They believe they need to sell everything to oligarchs to control our lives. And I say no. We need to own these things in our community to protect ourselves and our security. We are on 2 different opposite sides of the track. We can negotiate. We can talk about it and come to a middle ground. There is no middle ground. Go ahead, you about to say something?
But you said a point that I also want to, stress is that, one, I'm glad you did say a conversation could be had. But you've had conversations with a whole bunch of these people, which I don't think a lot of people know. I mean, you have, I remember the time you went and you speak to my son, or no, not him, but he was there. And, you've had these conversations with all different types of people. I think, in my opinion, where it goes left, because 9 times out of 10 it does, I don't think a lot of people really understand that you are what I call a traditional Newark political activist, which is built on what they call confrontational politics. You are the last of a dying breed of and this is how old school Harlem was too. You know what I'm saying? You debate, you spitting in people's face, you whatever. And in this age of, I don't know, tea cake politics or black tea cake respectability politics, people can easily dismiss you as being aggressive, violent, a threat, But they are standing on those who use this type of politics in order to acquire the power that a Black Newark has, right?
That they now have.
Yes.
I mean, but like Mark Thompson, if you into politics, if you understand the civil rights movement, you should be aware of Mark Thompson. I think he still has a show on, I don't know if he's on Sirius anymore, but he used to be on MSNBC. But I walked up on this brother at a gentrification summit meeting, whatever, and I told him, why you keep talking about Russia when you're on MSNBC? yo, we not worrying about Russia. We worrying about our schools. Our water's poisoned. These are the stuff that black people like me, activists out here, this is what we care about. Why don't you ever talk? Yo, that brother punched me in the face. That's
Yes,
how.
he did. Well,
Yeah,
we have the video for that.
Yeah,
you gave it to us.
Yo, he punched me in the face, bro. But he's an old man. To me, like, it wasn't nothing. But when we're talking, we can really have a conversation, because from his perspective, he's doing what master want him to do, what his owners are telling him to do. And I'm over there challenging what he's doing for the master. So he can meet me halfway. He can say, like, you know what? You're right. When I go on NBC next time, I'm going to speak against these corporatists. He can't do that. So what are you going to do? He's going to try to find a way to dismiss me, or to get security to come get me. And this is when it gets real. Because, like, you can't just brush me off. I do too much work. I mean, so, like, when you try to brush me off, like my ego gets in the way. And I'm going to tell you about yourself. And you know what I told him? You were Uncle Tom. You a seller. He was like, who are you? I'm like, I'm Africa the Great, bitch. And I mean, like, yo, like, who the fuck?
Now, let me say this. Now, to your credit, now, if somebody did that to me, I saw the video, and even though you did not touch him, you, like, he was trying to move, and you was like,
yes,
you ain't
running. You ain't running, Jack.
Right. So, I mean, like, so I'm
yeah, you ain't running.
The part that disturbed
you feed that. Most people didn't feed that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Girl, I waited like 2-3 hours to be able to ask him a question, and he tried to leave. Man, you ain't going nowhere, Jack.
Well, the part for me, the Mark Thompson, and let me tell you this. I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I released the video, because I did an interview, and as I told you, when I contacted you and said, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing this and I'm disturbed how this is being painted by mainstream. Nobody has asked, at the very least, your side of the story. I remember. And so I said, do you want to interview? And you were like, please, because I'm getting all these threats. It's like crazy over here and I don't know who to trust. This is, I think, the first time you went viral or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, well, come on, let's have a conversation. The issue for me, the biggest issue was he lied. He straight up lied about what happened on and also connected you to ADOS too, you know, as well. So that was the thing for me. And so then this is the part, I don't know if I told you this, I released our interview. Do you know, well, first of all, it was like people like on Twitter attacking Ark Republic, right? And then I jump in with my personal Twitter handle, you know, and then they start tweeting my employer saying that I am unethical and that I need to be fired. People then started, from what I understand, emailing or calling my employer demanding that I get fired. So these type of people, you know, because the accusation is that the type of journalism, it wasn't ethical, or so on and so forth. So this stuff gets very real. I mean, it gets very real. And I wasn't expecting that. I'm like, I'm just giving his side of the story, but it just shows you, and I don't have any proof, you know, to it, but I'm pretty sure the people who did that were in personal communications. Yes. With this Mr. Thompson guy. Yeah. And you know, but hey, it is what it is. I'm just over here in my corner of the world, just doing, you know, what I'm my purpose and what I'm supposed to do. And I appreciate you continuing. This is an ever evolving conversation. I'm glad we talked about Newark. Let me tell you, Newark gave me a spine like you would never believe. When I came to Newark, I had flip-flops. I was still an LA girl. Hi to everybody. Hi. Shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
You learned that shit quick.
Real quick. I remember I was in City Hall and everything. And I remember the clerk in City Hall was eating a burrito and farting and belching and taking people's money. I said, where am I? And I was like, what is this? And the woman on the line was like, see, the problem is you too bougie. And I was like, she eating a burrito and farting. What the fuck? Excuse my language. Yo.
But it's savage out here, man.
Man.
It's savage. And these boule, this whatever they want to call these Uncle Toms, man. Yo, they serious out here. Yo, you can't even fight against white supremacy if you don't deal with them. Because they're the one right there, like they're like offensive linemen. They're just block. They block like everywhere.
Very effective ones at that.
I've spoke, Cory Booker. I had it with he blocked me on Twitter. I mean, what you call it? Governor Christie. I went there with Governor Christie. Because like, I told you every day when I wake up, when I first came from prison too, you see, it was easy because I just went to school. So I would go to all the meetings, whatever state meetings, wherever they were at. I'm like, I'm going to show up until they stop allowing me to show up places to ask these questions. Because at first I didn't know they were like this. I didn't know like a Mark Thompson would go and lie. I thought like if you speak to these people and you spoke up, it was reasonable. Like they were like, oh shit, I see the error in my ways. How naive was I? I was naive as hell. And I mean, so I stopped trying to contact them, man. I mean, and like, it's just so much. We will be here all day.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something I think we gradually need to tell these stories. It's not like we've been in these different spaces and places and with good intentions, put our best foot forward and really got into it. I mean, there is, quite a bit of stories that, I have on my end too, not Newark, because by the time I get to Newark, I'm a grad student. I'm just trying to, handle my business and do what I got to do, to a certain degree. I will always be, whatever. My last question is this, is that Ras Baraka's father is Amiri Baraka, who is head of, or who spearheaded the Black Arts Movement and is known in the, I don't know what you want to call it, the Black liberation revolutionary spaces and the maybe perhaps Black art spaces as being a heavy hitter in moving the agenda for Black folk. I mean, Amiri Baraka was part of the, it was the, I forgot the name of it, but it's like the something convention, and it's actually returning to Newark in August. But I forgot the name of the convention. It's like Freedom People's Convention. And this is what kind of births this Black electoral politics movement. So Ras Baraka being the descendant or the son of this stalwart in Black power discourse, and he now heads a city and all these things are going on. How do you see this?
Now I was trying to see what they called it, the convention in Indiana that they had. I was trying to find out the name.
Yeah, I forgot, but it's returning in August. We'll talk about that later. But it was supposed to be in April, but they moved it to August.
Like I said, like all I do with my time is try to read and study what happened in the past for me to understand how we got to where we got. Amiri Baraka was not no revolutionary. He wasn't a Black liberationist. He's what you call, and George Jackson called him this, cultural nationalists. If you're listening out there,
good point. Break it on down.
Yeah, there's a difference between a Black revolutionary like Malcolm X, and there's a difference with what you call it, with cultural nationalists like people like Amiri Baraka, Malefanti, whatever his name is.
Malefi,
Mufufi, or whatever.
Malefi Asante, Maulana Karenga.
Yeah, what they want to do, they want to Habari Kanayu out of the revolution.
Habari Ghani.
Habari Ghani, they go Bari Ghani their way to revolution. But cultural nationalists they use Black culture to justify what they're doing. Justify the white supremacy ideology that they push. They use Black culture to push assimilation. That is what they believed in. People like Amiri Baraka and all these people that laid the groundwork for the first mayor of Newark, for all these people. What's my man name in Mississippi? Whatever his name.
Chokwe. Chokwe Lumumba, the father of the son.
Both of them.
Okay.
These children that are mayors that are working, that are in the Congress, that are in all these spaces, are children of cultural nationalists. In that book I told y'all to read, in the other episode, The Black Jacobins by C.L.R. James, he explains how this class of people prepare their children to be able to hold on to power. Since then until now, the only people that benefited from that strategy of assimilation have been those people and their children. The rest of the Black population has stayed in poverty and wallow in poverty. I just read you the study that they just came up with from Rutgers last week, where it's telling you that people are making like $600-700 less than they need to be able to afford a home. That is not just euphemism. That just me making up shit. This is what the data is telling you. The science is telling you. So these people are not revolutionaries. I doubt if you put Ras Baraka sitting right there, he would tell you my father was a revolutionary, because you're not a revolutionary if you're trying to assimilate into institutions of white supremacy. And this is what they did. That's why they had the convention, to build political powers to go take over and put themselves and their children in positions of power. And voila, we have it. 50, 60 years later, they're all in position of power. They're police officers, they're professors, they're everywhere. And where are we? We are where Malcolm told us we were going to be at, where all the revolutionaries told us we were going to be at. You can't legislate this shit. It don't matter what legislation you pass. These people are not trying to let us get access to anything. They have all the power, and the way they keep the power and the way they maintain it is by writing laws and making policies that keep us on the bottom. And all these Black politicians assist them in doing so. That's why only 7% of the people come out to vote in a city with 300,000 something residents. I mean, so like the question you asked me, there's a big difference. It's a chasm. It's a wild chasm, and it's a debate. I'm gonna send you the link to that, where they had the black nationalists against the cultural nationalists. Amiri Baraka was there, and he was giving his ideas of what we should do as Black people. And he was saying that the Black nationalists, the revolutionaries, and the cultural nationalists should come together and to strategize to liberate Black people. And there was somebody there that said, damn, what's his name? He said, that makes no sense. You work for white supremacy. You, Julian Bond, what's his name, man? Oh my God, this dude, he was a big person in the civil rights movement, man. Oh man, I can't remember his name.
Kwame Ture?
Who?
Kwame Ture?
No. I'm talking about in the no, with this white people, all the Negro figureheads that they came up with.
Jesse Jackson.
He wasn't there. It was activists. But like, I can't remember the name, y'all. But I'm so upset. I'm gonna remember next time.
Abernathy. Okay.
All them Negroes was there. Ralph Abernathy. That's his goddamn name. This gumbo looking. He looked like my man from North or South Carolina, Clyburn. He looked like fucking Clyburn.
Right. And Abernathy is so what a lot of people don't know is that years later, Abernathy in his memoir talks about his regrets of having this position. And also talks about his suspicions of Jesse Jackson.
Man, I hope he rotted hell.
But the memoir was crushed by Jesse Jackson because most of it was about Jesse Jackson. And there was a small bit that Abernathy talked about King having these extramarital affairs. And Jackson came out and was like, oh, Abernathy is trying to, squash King's name. But Abernathy and King were best friends.
And King didn't like Jesse.
And King didn't like, he says that in there. Not only did King not like Jesse, but he did not trust Jesse Jackson. That's a very touchy subject. I'm trying to keep Ark Republic rolling.
I got you. Yeah. Hey, look, what Africa said has nothing to do with Ark Republic. But anyway,
word. I mean, yes, yeah, but that's the beauty of dialogue. We will never agree on every and anything. That's just, you know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. But that is part of, but in truth, in terms of that, people have always questioned if Jackson, what was Jackson's role if any, in all of this, there is truth that I think maybe the next day he goes on, he's in Chicago. This happens in Memphis. He's on a Chicago, like a morning show, and he has a shirt and it has blood stains on there. And he says that this was a shirt he was wearing when he was hugging King, and people were like, he was nowhere in the vicinity.
Nowhere.
You know, this dude's lying. That is absolute fact. That is absolute fact.
These people have exploited our oppression to make themselves rich. And like I was saying, circling back to the Ralph Abernathy and all of them, yo, they had the conversation. Reverend Cleve from Detroit, the Black Madonna Church or something like that. That was his name. He's the one that was telling Emiri Baraka and Abernathy and all of them, like, you Negroes have no power. You work for white supremacies, and we can't work with you. Because if we work with you, like, you're going to be telling white supremacy what we're talking about in our meetings. Yo, so like, to wrap it all up, yo, cultural nationalism and Black liberation, those are two different schools of thought. For the last 50 years, 60 years, Black cultural nationalists have been in power in our communities. That's what Al Sharpton is. That's what all these mayors are. That's what they're doing in Congress. All these entertainers, all these people, they use our culture as social credibility. They cloak themselves with our culture, but they know nothing about their culture. John Henry Clark used to say this. He used to say they should be ashamed of the skin they wear. Like, they're wearing our skin and they're doing the bidding of white supremacy. So we have what we have. If you go back and look at the data since the 70s and these people in position of power, the conditions right now is a direct reflection of them in position of power. That's why we must challenge them. We must challenge them. Yo, that's the new, what's Du Bois said it was the color line. Yo, it's the class line. Today is the class line. If Trump, Sharpton, any of these people come here, Tamika Mount, all of these people that these fake activists, yo, I'm going to hold them accountable. I'm going to take off work. I'm going to leave the plantation and I'm going to go wherever they're at. And I'm going to tell them they're not wanted here. That is part of the strategy of getting our people to understand that there are different ways. It's a different strategy we can take. And the different strategy is us coming together to take control of our communities and stop allowing these people to do it. But yeah, I think this is like 2 hours. You talking about an hour.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking, I'm like, I got to get on this. But this has been we haven't spoken in a very long time. So it was definitely a refreshing, conversation that is needed. Yeah. So let's just wrap this back and direct it back to the conversation at hand, which is about housing in Newark in light of this recent report that came out of Rutgers Law Center.
I only got one solution, yo. I only got one solution. Yo, the time for playing is over. Yo, if you want to liberate yourself, you got to do it yourself. You need to start coming to these meetings. You need to come. Yo, we have a base, 309 South Orange Avenue. 309 South Orange Avenue. Show up to the base. Come out there. Yo, my number is 862-283-9918. Yo, you cannot fight these corporations by yourself. You can't win. You can't buy these houses. We have to create co-ops. That is the new economic system that we must create in our communities to be able to sustain ourselves. Yo, you, me, my wife, my next door neighbor, 5 of us come together, we can buy a property and we can rent it out. We could buy another property. We could get a storefront. Yo, all of us here can come together and buy stuff. We don't need no corporations. We don't need no rich people coming in here, buying stuff, using our labor, the money we done gave them from taxes, for them to come buy it and take the money, the pot of gold, and run somewhere else. Yo, if you really want to change things, no voting, none of that shit is going to work. Come to these meetings, read these books, re-educate yourself, and buy up your own community where you live at. Let's start there. Because if you want to go on to save the rest of the world, you have to first save where you at, where you're fighting from. And if we come together, we can do this. Yo, I have no doubt in my mind, everybody in the Central Ward, if they came together and pulled their money together, they could build a Home Depot. We don't have to go to Arthur Blank, whoever owned Home Depot, and give them our money. We can own our own Home Depot. So now if everybody in the Central Ward, in this ward, invested in building something like a Home Depot, you work there, you control what the board does because you're on the board. You're not going to send your Home Depot to China, to Japan, to wherever, Korea, wherever they're going to take the jobs away. You wouldn't allow that because you're on the board. You're not going to pay yourself $15 or $14 an hour when you know to be able to survive in Newark, you need to be making like $25, $30 an hour. You're going to pay yourself what you need to be paid. All this shit takes organizing. You're not going to just wake up one day and all this shit happen. Yo, there's solutions out here. There's things we can do, but you're not going to know if you don't come out, if you don't join the liberation. Yo, the liberation is here. People are out here fighting. You need to get up and come join it. Or like, don't be sad about Buffalo. All this stuff are warning signs. We see what happened, and it's telling us, it's giving us our marching orders. Get the fuck up, come join the liberation, and I guarantee you, in 2.5, 3 years, we will flip this shit. Because without us, they have nothing.
All right. Well, thank you. This is from the words of Brother Afrika, All Power to the People podcast. He is a historian, sociologist, activist out of Newark, New Jersey. Thank you for joining us tonight.
All power to the people. I live for the people. I die for the people. We all need to think like that. Then they're not going to exploit us.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Arc Republic. If you like what you see and you like what you hear, you can actually keep this mothership going. How? You can make a tax-deductible donation in several ways. One, Cash App us at Arc Republic Media. And you can also go on our website, arcrepublic.com/donate. As well, you can also donate to our fiscal sponsor and our sister organization at Black Farmers Index, that is Cash App, or also go onto their website, blackfarmersindex.com. We are two Black women-owned media organizations who share our profits so folk can thrive.